wish to move forward and introduce today's speaker. And he is going to be talking about 9 very, very critical elements in taking your business forward. And how he wants to do that, of course, he has a lot in store for you, a good presentation. And of course, after this presentation, a chance to connect with him as well, right? So you will be able to connect with him after this particular presentation, and then he will be happy to help, support, assist in any which way he can. Okay. Now let me introduce Abhimanyu Yadav to you. Now Abhimanyu is a business coach and a problem solver at heart. He has handled various HR leadership roles in MNCs and large Indian conglomerates during his 15-year corporate stint. He has driven large teams across Southeast Asian markets and holds 20 plus international HR certifications. Isn't that amazing? He's a business coaching expert for SME business owners and startups, author of upcoming book, Think Inside the Box, a 13-step guide to transform your business for future, right? He has experience of setting up 3 successful businesses from the scratch. His current areas of interest include business coaching, leadership and talent management, executive coaching, and change management. And with this, I would now like to invite Abhimanyu. Welcome, Abhimanyu. It is a pleasure to have you on board with us today at Sotex.
Thank you so much, Gagan, for this warm welcome. This is the second time I am interacting with this community, and I have been in touch and seeing the journey of Sotex over the past several years. Many, many congratulations, the kind of initiatives that you guys are taking and taking giant strides to move forward, right? And as one of the discussions, I was talking to Sunil, and he was sharing that the vision is to build a platform which brings all the stakeholders across the globe on one platform and which benefits everyone. So congratulations to you, and the kind of collaborations that you have, whether it is with Tuka Tech or whether it is with Trace Network Labs, fantastic, and happy to be back with all of you.
Thank you so much, Abhimanyu. I would only request, I think there was, while you were speaking, we could see that there was some disturbance in the mic or something like that. I think the internet is fine, but it is the mic or the audio which was a bit of an issue. So you may either want to change your mic, because we want, of course, everyone of our members, our listeners at this point to have a full-fledged uninterrupted action. So from the action coach Abhimanyu. So just try again and let's see if we can.
Yeah. So I would be doing that. Let me try and change it while I welcome all the participants. So I see Akhilesh Arya joining. Welcome, Akhilesh. Arham, welcome. Mr. Ashok Revati, Mr. Ashok Paul.
I think, Abhimanyu, this may not be the problem of internet, but it seems to be a problem of the mic.
Right. I'll just try and change the mic and see how it goes.
Yeah, no worries. We can just wait for 1 more minute. That's absolutely okay. We have a good number of people who have now started joining in. It's good to see a lot of people coming in.
How's it now? Is it better?
Oh, it is much, much better. Absolutely. It's I'll have to reduce my volume a bit. This is much better now. Yes.
Great. So I was just taking a few.
No. Again, there is a problem. I think the mic is still again. It is not correct. Just see it, please. आप नीचे करो पहले जैसे आपने पहले किया था. It was okay at that time.
Is it good now?
Yeah. Now it is absolutely wonderful.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. So technology.
Yes, absolutely. Over to you, Abhimanyu.
Fantastic.
And people are looking forward to listening to you.
Thank you. Let me just, so welcome everyone, and let me just start to share my slides. Give me a thumbs up once you're able to see the slides.
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Great. So I'll play a 1 minute video and post that we go into our presentation.
World abundance through business re-education. Since
You can play it again, Abhimanyu. I think there was a unshare somehow.
world abundance through business re-education. Since 1993, Action Coach business coaches have lived that vision by helping business owners across the planet build great companies, create more jobs, and truly grow their communities. Real people getting real results. We've always believed that being in business should give you more life, and right now we believe in something even greater. The abundance of those amazing business owners, the abundance of the employees in those companies, the abundance of providing free education to every business owner and every local or national business group globally, the abundance of being there for you and every business that needs us right now.
Just trying to reshare. I think there is some issue with the slides. Is it good? Can you see the slide? Can I get a thumbs up from someone? Gagan? Gagan, Priya, is there someone the other side?
Yes, sir, we are getting your voice properly as well as the slide is visible.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So that's what technology does to us sometimes. All right. So today I'm going to talk about this very important area in business, which is systemization, right? And the very impact of systemization is that you would be able to move your business to a situation where you're working on the business and not in the business, right? But before we move forward, very, very important slide. I think one of the most important slides, if you are still looking at your phone, please put it on silent, put it away, get a pen and paper. Very, very important piece that if you already have your glass full, you know, there is very little that our discussion today can put back into it, right? So for the next 45 to 60 odd minutes, put this I know aside, right? And instead of that, what we can try and use is, isn't that interesting, right? So some bit of discussion around learning, very, very important piece. And perhaps this will only allow you to take away something from our discussion today, right? So be present, take notes, ask questions, and I'm sure I'll be able to address all of them towards the end of it. All right. So what's the agenda? Quickly. So I will be talking about how to make your business work without you. Just underline these particular words, working without you. Towards the end, we also have a Q&A session where if you have any queries, you know, while you got it throughout the next 60 odd minutes, you can put it across. We'll try and address those. And also on request of Sowtex, in May, we have freed up, some slots to give away personalized one-to-one scaling up sessions, business scaling up sessions. So if any of you would like to opt for it, feel free. So that's the agenda for today. Okay, so what are the key takeaways? I think I'm just putting it so that it is there as a reminder. My slides, my discussion, my talk would certainly be focused on helping to answer some of these points that we had highlighted. But if you have anything else other than this, please put it in the chat box or in the Q&A section, and we'll certainly take it up, right? So of course, I'll be talking about the 9 steps model, and this is not my model. This is something which has evolved over the last 28 years by Action Coach, and this has been practiced across the world over thousands and lakhs of business owners, small and medium business owners like all of you, and this has been refined, and that's what I'm going to present to all of you, right? And of course, how to build a very scalable, profitable, and a business which works very efficiently and effectively, right? Great. So I can see a lot of other participants joining in. So welcome to all of you. We have just started. Good. So before we move on, just a quick bit about Action Coach. So Action Coach is the world's #1 action business coaching firm. It is there for the past more than 25 years now, in fact. And Action Coach actually introduced this term business coaching to the world way back in 1994, right? Currently, it is present in more than 80 plus countries, and we coach more than 30,000 business owners each week across the world, right? And the vision, please mark this highlighted in red, the vision of Action Coach is creating world abundance through business re-education, right? I will come back to this when we go into some of the next slides. So this is what all about Action Coach. Quickly about my firm, Ethic Advisory. So we are a franchise owner in India from Action Coach. We are one of the leading franchisees in India and Middle East. The firm has 3 business coaches, and all of us work together in these 4 important areas, primarily focusing on small and medium businesses. So of course, business coaching is one focus. Second is executive coaching, where we work directly with the business owner and helping him solve his individual challenges, whether it is on the business side or the personal side. We look at business strategy and also help companies with business transformation, right? So that's what we do at Ethic Advisory. Great. Now, quickly, although I was able to read in the chat or on the attendee side all of your names, but if you can just quickly move your fingers, do a bit of exercise. If you can mention, I know all of you are from textiles industry, so you need not mention the sector, but if you can mention your name, your business name, and how many years you are in business would certainly be really, really helpful so that I have a context while I'm delivering the presentation, right? So I can see some of the answers coming in. So keep them coming in while I continue. So we have a lot of participants on the call. Would request all of you to do this give and take, right? Participate actively, ask questions, right? Give your feedback. Very, very important for learning, right? Good. So would help if others also chip in and share their names, their business name, and for how many years they are in business while I'll move forward. Okay. So Gagan has already done the introductions, but I am really, really proud of the fact that I helped set up 3 businesses from scratch. And today, my focus remains on helping SME business owners reach to their true potential, right? I believe the SMEs of today are going to be the large corporates of tomorrow, the multinationals of tomorrow, right? So we help them be equipped with the right tools and techniques so that they are able to reach there. That's what we do. Okay, thank you. Some more inputs have come in. Fantastic. So my first question to all of you, that how many business owners in the room, if you are a business owner, can you type in yes in the chat box so that I know? But because I have been told that there are, other than business owners, participants, who are buyers or who are handling different roles would be there in the call. Great. So if you're a business owner, my questions, which I will try and answer through the presentation, is that, and these are the questions that I get asked by the business owners, right? So, Mr. Business Owner, do you find it difficult to take your business to its true potential? Right? You find yourself constantly doing firefighting, moving into sales, marketing, production floor, right? Doing dispatches, doing collections. So doing everything at the same time, right? You're finding it very difficult to scale up with profitability, right? And the last one, very, very important one, which I know is a big pain point of textiles industry, is the shortage of talented people who are actually as passionate and who share the vision that you have for your company, right? And we come back to this. So if you have any other questions other than this, feel free to ask. Good. So before we move on, would like to understand from all of you, what do you mean by systemization and why we should systemize? Remember, our topic today is 9 steps to systemize your business, right? So would like to understand from all of you, what do you mean by systemization and why to systemize? Where is the need to systemize? Okay, so I've got a couple of inputs in the chat box. Keep them coming in. See, always remember, there is no right or wrong answer, right? We just share our perspective, our thought, and the others learn from it through discussion. It is not a trick question. Okay. So, the basic idea of putting in systems is to ensure that your time as a business owner is moved from handling firefighting operations to more strategy, to looking at where the organization should go, to looking at where the industry is moving, right? To looking at the larger perspective. So what we call strategic components of your business, so that you are actually working on the business and not floating around in the business, right? Because remember, the job of a business owner has to be done by the business owner, right? I repeat, the job of a business owner has to be done by the business owner. If business owner is actually not focusing on these aspects, then my question to you, Mr. Business Owner, is who is doing that, right? The employee is also doing the execution. We are also, part of the execution. Very, very important point to note. So remember that systems actually run your business. Systems run your business. It is the people who run your systems, right? Your team. And the job of a business owner is to lead that team, to get the right team in place, to motivate them, align them with the vision, give them all the tools, and then allow them to flourish, right? And from a business perspective, the implementation of system is actually equivalent to delivering consistent quality to the most important stakeholder, which is the customer, right? So that is why. So I thought I'll take a couple of minutes to just set the context around this. And thank you for the others who are participating. So I'll request all the participants who are on the call to actively, move their fingers and be on the chat box. Great. So a little bit of science, while we talk about systems. So all of us have heard or seen this picture of a lever, right? This is class 4th or 5th when we are in school. So what does a lever supposed to do? Anyone? I'm sure everyone has read science. So actually a lever is something which helps us do more with less, right? So if you see on the left hand side, you apply some force, but on the other side, the resultant force is much more. So you are able to actually do more with less. And this is the same concept we need to bring into our businesses, which is leverage. And how do you build leverage? Leverage is all about systemization. And in action coaches terms, system is nothing but it saves you stress, your time, money, and your energy. So that the time that you spend in the business is freed up from regular business operations and it is moved to more strategic components of your business, right? So you move from being a technician in the business to actually being the owner in the business. Right? With me so far? Great. Now, all of us have heard of this 80-20 rule. And this question also often comes to me. So before it comes, I thought I'll address it right away. So the next question which comes to me is, okay, coach, now tell us what to systemize and what not to systemize. Very obvious question, right? So my answer to that is that you systemize everything which is routine, which would be 80% of the task. And you humanize the exceptions. By routine, I mean anything which is done repetitively, whether it is production, whether it is some transaction happening on a regular monthly or a daily basis. So you try and systemize that, which takes care of your 80%. But you, of course, do not want to systemize all 100%. You want to keep something, some exceptions, some escalations, some care, if it is on the customer care side, innovation, creativity, so those things where you need all of this, there you need humanized interactions. So keep it simple. So that is, the broad rule that I would say 80-20, systemize the routine and humanize the exception. Fantastic. So let's now jump into the 9 steps to systemization. Right. And friends, like I mentioned, this is not a model which is borrowed from a book or, this is not my model, but this has evolved over the last several decades of working with business owners like you, right? So this is being implemented when we work with business owners, when we work with our clients in coaching, we go through these exact same steps to ensure that the business owners move from where they are to where is their real potential. Okay, excited? Can I see some yeses in the chat box quickly? If all of you are excited and you want me to move forward and share the first one, the first step. Thank you. Good to see the responses. Okay. So the first step, even before you look at anything else, is actually looking at what is the vision that you have for your business, right? And before I move into what is a vision and how to create a vision, you looked at some of the examples which are there. So if I talk about Action Coach, the vision is to create world abundance through business re-education, right? Now, why vision is important? Now, without a vision, can a business be created? Yes, perhaps a business can be created. And some of us are examples. So we see businesses all around us which are created just like that, right? But if we are wanting to create a business which stays there for 100 years, which creates a legacy, right? Which is, sort of a leading business in the industry, which changes the way an industry is looked at, then we need to start with this vision. If you look at Sotex, I was talking to Gagan when we started the session, right? Superb, fantastic vision that Sotex had, and kudos to them that they are able to execute it. Okay, so just imagine that your vision is to stand at the top of Mount Everest, looking over the Himalayas and into the beautiful sun and the clouds. Beautiful picture, right? So that's what a vision is. Vision is actually a picture of future, right? It is your worldview. It actually tells you that who do you want to be or become tomorrow, right? Vision is usually much beyond the organization. So I'll share some of the other examples of the organizations that you are very, very familiar with. And you can find these vision and mission of some of the leading players in textiles also, right? Where do you want to go? So the first piece is to look at vision. Now, just sharing a few examples, right? All of us have been using some products made by these companies. All of us admire these companies, right? So do look closely and you will be able to find some motivation there. Apple. So they believe that they are the face of the earth and they make great products. And that is something that they don't want to change. Let's look at Amazon. Their vision is to be Earth's most customer-centric company. So if you look at whatever they do, look at their processes, you look at their people, you look at the structures that they have, look at the kind of automation that they are putting in, the kind of innovation that the company is coming out with. Now they have warehouses which are completely managed by machines, right? But they have the customer at the center of everything that they do, right? So they are really fanatic, really, really passionate about customer centricity. Third one, also all of us are familiar with this TED, spreading ideas. They believe passionately in the power of ideas, which can actually change the world. It can change attitudes, it can change lives, it can change the world. So that is what they are really passionate about. And you will see in how, if the vision is clear, then everything becomes so much easy. You have a filter and you are able to clearly decipher which direction you want to go into, right? So that's what a vision does. Now at this point, quickly, can I go back to all of you and ask, can any of you share vision and mission of your respective companies? Do you remember the vision and mission of your company? And if you do that, can you share it in the chat box? Right? Because a vision is something, vision and mission is something which you are really, really passionate about, which should be in your heart, which should be easily understandable and being practiced by your employees. Super duper important. Okay, so I do not see any action in the chat box. So I'll assume that some of you might have it, but it is not there in the right context or the format or the way it has to be done. The process is not being followed. So please do that. See if you can create this for your companies before moving forward. All right. Second one is mission. So what is mission? Mission is, in the same example, is how do you actually go to the top of Mount Everest? What is the road that you will take? How are you going to achieve it? That is what a mission talks about, right? Mission talks about your present state, who you are, why are you here, why do you even exist, right? And when I share the examples, you will understand a little bit more about this. But please understand, out of the 9 steps, I'm talking about some of the softer aspects, but these very aspects are the foundation of a very, very strong organization for future, right? Okay. So as I was sharing, that mission is the roadmap to your vision, right? How do you do the execution if you want to go at the top of the mountain? So what does a mission actually talk about? The first thing it talks about is it defines what kind of business I would do to achieve my vision. Now, if you're listening to what I'm saying clearly over the last 10 minutes, that vision, if vision is a future state or a picture of future, then mission will tell us which business, which vehicle. And I shared a couple of slides back, example of Apple. They do not talk about that they'll make an iPhone or an iPad or whatnot. Their vision is much beyond that. The business comes after that. So what kind of business you want to have, right? That is the first question that needs to be answered. What kind of people you want to have in the organization who are going to be with you on that journey to the top of the Mount Everest, right? What kind of people? Are they as passionate? Do they care for the same values that you care? Do they want to build an organization which actually wants to serve the customers? What kind of people, right? Third, what kind of customers you want to serve, right? And this itself is a huge subject. Actually, we take at least a day when we talk to business owners, couple of sessions easily to talk about this. Very, very important. But if you look around in your set of customers, you would know that there are perhaps some customers who align more to what you want to do or where you want to go. And there's some other customers, and mind you, I'm not saying that any customer is bad. No customer is bad. There are certain customers who do not align with what you want to do, right? So we need to be very, very aware of this fact. And the last one talks about what is unique about this business, what is unique about the people, what is unique about you. Why should the customer come and buy from a textile factory A versus a textile factory B, right? And my dear friends, if we are not able to define this uniqueness and communicate this uniqueness back to our customers, to our employees, then trust me, this is one of the major reasons, right? So this is the reason why we are not able to move to our real potential. And we are where we are. Right? Fantastic. Third piece is culture. Now, I'm smiling because this reminds me of my interaction with a lot of business owners. When I say culture, they say, Abhimanyu, what culture you're talking about? The culture to ban jayega jab organization banegi, right? And the answer to this question lies in the statement itself. You just imagine that if you leave it कि अपने आप बन जाएगा, means it will it will get formed on its own, then that's how it will become. It will become a deadly cocktail, right? As in when people will come on board from different industries, different walks of life, different experiences, they'll bring on board their own understanding of the culture. And what you will have once you have grown to a large extent, you will have something which will be very difficult to correct at a later stage, right? So the culture, it is very, very important, not very difficult. I'll share a small framework also. That culture actually sets the rules of the game for this organization, for the organization that you are running, right? It also talks about what kind of people, like I was mentioning previously, you want to take along with you on this journey. Now, all of us, I am assuming that we know this great scientist, one of the ones who talked about not only about theory of relativity, but also a huge inspiration to a lot of us who have read science, right? So he says that you have to learn the rules of the game. You have to learn the rules of the game and then play better than anyone else. So you can just imagine what happens if there are no rules laid down, right? I have just invited chaos for my organization in the long term. And then, I hear a lot of talk when I go back to business owners, when we do coaching sessions that, coach, today this happened, this employee has done this kind of a deal in sales. This is not as per our culture, right? These are not our values. This is not the way we want to move forward. So I go back and ask them that, have you set out the rules of the game? Right? And when they ponder, they think, they come back, no. So then who are we to blame the employees actually? Right? Okay. So as I was talking about, culture talks about the rules of the game, right? And there is a bit of framework. So this is not the only framework. You can have different frameworks. You can devise your culture statement in different ways, but this is one of the ones that we recommend, which what I call loose tight style, right? So imagine all of us follow sports, and you imagine a cricket field, right? So the boundary of the field is actually designated. So you know that you have to play within this boundary, inside the boundary, right? Also, the rules are defined that these many overs, if the ball is hit outside, so it is 6 runs are given, and if it goes on the ground, then it is 4, and how it will be a bold or a run out. I mean, the rules are defined, which is the tight part of it, right? Because unless you define that, you cannot play sensibly. Now within that, you see the player has complete choice how he wants to play, right? Which is the looseness that we are talking about. So once you define the boundaries, once you define the broad contours of your culture, you give your culture statement, you clearly mention these are the values that we are not going to we are not going to sacrifice actually these values. Then within that, the player can go and play, right? Also, it is not about business owner or the team, right? The culture is for the whole organization. So you do not want to have your own replica in the organization. So you want to have something which involves the stakes from the business owner, from the team, and from the other stakeholders, right? So I'll share a small framework, but before I do that, let me quickly share an example so that you are able to relate how it plays out. So Action Coach actually has a 14-point culture, right? So it talks about things like commitment, excellence, education is one of the 14 points of culture. Talks about teamwork, talks about having fun. See, so so for example, if I'm part of Action Coach, I know that this is something which is part of the culture of the organization, right? And that's how, even right from the stage, I'm looking at hiring people, or I'm devising my policies, processes, anything and everything which is happening has to be according to the culture. So it gives you a line of sight as to where you want to go. Systems is one of the points of culture, right? And I'll give you a framework how to create this. So if you have a pen and paper, would request all of you to make notes, and you would be able to quickly create this if you do not have it, right? So how do you create a 12 points of culture, so framework? Are we good till now? Is everyone with me? In between, I of course would break for a couple of minutes and take up questions before we move forward. Are we good? Can we have a yes in the chat box if all of you are with me? Great. So friends, in this framework, you look at 4 main areas or key stakeholders that we talk about, right? So this 12 point, of course, this will be a working draft. And once you have this, you can always work on this and improve this. But you take 3 points which come from the business owner, right? Because business owner is one of the key pillars of the organization. Second piece, the next 3 points should come what is important for the success of the business. So take into account the business that you have, right? Then 3 points which are important to the team, which is the people side of it. So this will make the framework balanced. And the last 3 points you can have from the perspective of the customer. So if you see, the Action Coaches framework is built on the same stuff. So 3 points from the owner, 3 for business, 3 for the team, and 3 from the customer's perspective. You can take a picture, screenshot, or you can jot it down. Very, very important. And mind you, so towards the end of it, I'll be sharing my email ID. We'll be really, really happy if you go back and if you are able to work on some of this stuff, do share it back, and we'll be happy to give you feedback on that. But trust me, this is something that I'm sharing with my own experience. Once you have these things in place, you see that, with complete clarity, you are able to move at the speed of sound towards your goals. It helps you to prioritize and actually gets more out of your time, gets you the results that you want. So till now, we have spoken about vision, mission, and culture. So out of the 9 points, I say these are the softer aspects, but now we move into some of the tangible stuff, so to say. So the first one talks about goals. Now, the moment I talk about goals, business owner come back to me and say, Abhimanyu, what goals you're talking about? यहाँ पे तो business करना मुश्किल हो रहा है, business आ नहीं रहा है, you're talking about goals. What goals? But please remember that if we have a vision, if we have mission, we have set the right culture. Goals are actually the staging posts, the milestones that you have to achieve or to take you where you want to go. Goals keep you on the track, right? And I'll share in a while why it is extremely important to have the goals. So yes, I know some of you might say, if I were to ask all of you that, do you have goals in your business? Can I have yes, if you have your business goals clearly written down shared with everyone in the team, understood by everyone, being reviewed regularly. Is there anyone who can share his experience? If yes, type in yes in the chat box. Okay, so perhaps another important point to ponder over. Okay, so what is the importance of goals? Tony Robbins, this gentleman, I'm sure most of you have read or are aware of. So he says the secret to unleashing your true power is setting goals that are really, really exciting, that excite you, that excite your team, that excites the whole organization. And they truly inspire the creativity, ignite your passion. Right? Very, very important. Now, talking about something which some of you may not be very, very familiar with. So there is something called a reticular activating system. It is actually a bundle of nerves at your brainstem, at the back of your, top of your neck, and besides your head. And what this RAS does is it actually filters down the information which is sent from all the senses, right, to the brain. Extremely important role it plays, right? And so that the brain is able to process the right information which is important, which is critical for survival, and take action. My dear friends, goals are actually the same compass for our brain, right? And they show you whether you are in the right direction or not. The goals filter out the relevant from the not so important. So when you see yourself firefighting, and that is one of the points that we were discussing, throughout the day, you will be able to decipher that in the long run, whether that is important or for you to handle yourself, or you can perhaps look to delegate or systemize it or do something so that you are not focusing on that particular area, right? So you will be able to identify the right opportunities which are aligned to your goals. Super important. Now, why set goals? We have spoken about this, but just quickly so that all of us are on the same page. So goals actually give you direction and focus, right? They give you movement and momentum. So they tell you whether you have made any progress or not. And remember, that is the main reason why we actually do not go back and review our goals, right? Because we have not made progress. It builds the momentum. So once you are in the habit of writing your goals, going back and reviewing, seeing the progress, it will build the momentum, and you will be able to achieve more and more and more. And the others will also be rallying behind you for this. And you set goals so that you can actually become the person you want to become. Same is true for the organization. Are we good? Now, this one is, I'm sure all of you are familiar with how to set effective goals. I'll not spend too much of time on this, but I thought it's an important one, this abbreviation. So, when I, again, some of the examples or the discussions I have with business owners, and I say, what is your goal? So they say, yeah, so we want to grow the business this year. That's the goal. I say, that's it. So he says, yeah, that's it. We want to grow the business. But what we need to look at is the goal needs to be a SMART goal, right? So all of us are aware of this abbreviation: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Very, very important. So I'll suggest that you do go back and look whether your goals are there or not. First of all, if they are there, are they SMART goals? Are you reviewing them regularly? And now we are not supposed to look at review annually, right? The world has already moved to quarterly, monthly, and now weekly reviewing of goals. Very, very important. Are we good till now? Fantastic. Okay. So now we have the vision, mission, culture, and also the goals in place. Now, my next question to all of you is that can you as a business owner achieve your vision on your own? Right? You want to scale, you want to build a global company or a company which is respected, which is, has legacy. Can the business owner build on his or her own? Right? And the normal answer that I get is, of course not. Right? So what do? So we get the right team on board. And for that, the next step is the fifth step that I talk about is the organization chart. So by organization chart, I mean knowing to achieve that vision and to achieve those goals, what kind of organization I have today and what kind of organization I need to build for tomorrow. Identifying what are the gaps, whether I can build those people the capability internally or I need to bring from outside, right? Nothing very difficult to understand, but business owners find it very, very difficult to implement. The normal answer that I get is we take people as we need, right? But that is again, my dear friends, unplanned. That is again doing firefighting. That is again not being a system-driven organization, right? So do look at this. If you have at least a 2 or 3 year goals for your organization, do look at what is the kind of talent that you'll need and where is the gap and how are you going to bridge that gap. So that's what you need to define the team that you have for today and what is the team that you need for tomorrow. And then the third most important piece which comes in this is actually building that team. So you're getting the right people on the bus. So when I ask this, the question is that, Abhimanyu, what do we do with people who are already on the bus with us? Right? And mind you, very, very important question. So for that, what you do is once you are building all this, right, you take all the people on board with you. Give them time, train them, align them with the organization. And of course, there will be some who will not get aligned over a period of time. So once you identify, then you need to take a call as to when to put them off the bus. Right? It is as important for that employee as it is for the organization. Right? Because if the employee is not aligned to the organization, then there is, and once you put in all the effort, there is little that you can do beyond that. And if the employee moves somewhere else, perhaps he'll be able to find something which interests him or her and be able to contribute instead of being stuck with the organization. Right? Good. So this is, I would suggest that you take back as a homework this piece, that you make an org chart that you need for today, and then 2 years time, and then 5 years time, if you can. But do try to make it at least for 2.5 years, what kind of people that you need. You know that the technology, the demands from customers, the kind of requests that come, the kind of, the team that we need to become is going to change. And we need to actually continue to adapt ourselves to look at that. Okay. The sixth piece talks about positional contracts. So friends, when I talk about this point, usually there is a query around this term positional contract. So contract is of course between two parties. There is a legal connotation also to a contract. So where is the need of this positional contract, right? Now, when typically when I go to a small and medium business and when I talk, this is something which I find missing. And if I were to ask all of you, how many of you have a job description in place, So the point is that if we do not have a vision, mission, we do not have clarity on company goals, we do not have an org chart, and we do not have this contract, then how on earth are you going to align people to what you want to do? You tell me, why should a person who's really talented, educated, he can get a job anywhere, why he should get bound and stuck with a company like this? There is abundance of opportunity outside, right? So the first piece is right from hiring till the person goes out, for every single thing, we need to have a job description for all the unique positions that you have in the organization, right? This is one piece that I definitely ensure that we, implement when we are working with businesses. And this single point itself has worked actually wonders. The employees get a lot of clarity as what they are expected to do, right? An accountant is not actually calling out customers and trying to get business, right? Why to keep all these confusions in the organization? Yes, I understand if there is an emergency, then you need all the hands on deck. But in usual circumstances, that should not be the case. So they should, on right before hiring, you should have clear job descriptions. You should be able to explain to the person that this is your role, this is what the expectation is. And mind you, the business owner again finds it very difficult to sit and answer the employee when it comes to the annual appraisals, right? Then everyone expects, the moon, and you do not have anything in your hand because you have not measured, you have not given him what is the expectation, right? So do that. Second, it will help you to measure success, like I said, to differentiate the top performers from a good performer to an average to somebody who's poor performer, right? And the poor performer might need some help, extra training, encouragement, that should be given to that person. And the last piece, which is most important, and this came as one of the challenges when I was doing a bit of research in the textile industry, attraction of talent and retention. So believe me, the talent today actually needs a lot of clarity on all these 6 aspects that I spoke about. They want to be with organizations who are behind a mission and a vision which is beyond them, right? They want to be associated with companies like that, who have a good working culture, right? The company has clarity on goals. The org chart is clear. The job descriptions are clear. All these things are basic hygiene if we want to attract talent and we want to ensure that we retain. Otherwise, what happens is, even if you get somebody on board, the person leaves in 6 months, a year and a half, and you again are back to square one. Okay. So I'll take a small pause at this point. And till now, out of the 9 steps, we have looked at these 6 steps. And I would be happy if there are any questions at this point in time. Is there anything that you want to highlight or experience with respect to job descriptions or goals, vision, mission, whether you have it, you do not have it, you are going to work on these. Yeah, so would look forward to your comments in the chat box. Anyone? So are we good or we are good? Good. So let's look at the next three. And trust me, the next three are some of the most important aspects of this whole loop that I'm talking about. Thank you for those inputs. Great. Now, the seventh one is what all of us are familiar with, but when I talk to the SME business owners, when I talk to senior executives, very few of us are actually following this. So key performance indicators. These are the vital signs of the health of your business, right? And the general two questions that I ask is, and business owners should actually know, is their revenue and profits, right? And you'll be surprised, many times they do not know what is their profit is. They need to wait for their CA to calculate everything, once the financial year is over, and once the filing is supposed to be done, then they get to know that what are the numbers. Very, very surprising. Right now, these could be financial, the key performance indicators. These could be non-financial. In financial, of course, revenue, profits, cash flow, right? So I would assume by and large, the business owner would know what are the revenue and profits, right? Cash flow is something that we ensure that when we are working with business owners, we get them into this habit of getting cash flow statements at a regular interval, right? So they know the health of their business before it is too late, before it is end of the year, right? Non-financial measures of the activity or the key drivers, the strategies or the values of the business, your customer service measures. These are non-financial measures. Okay. So our goals can only be reached through the vehicle of a plan, right? So we talk about vision, which is a picture, mission, again, the way we go to that vision. Then we look at goals, and to reach these goals, we need to have a plan, right? And at a department level or at an employee level, KRS and KPIs are very, very strong indicators as to where we are going. Right? So let's take an example, sales department. So in a sales department, what is a typical key result area that a salesperson might have? Let's say you've taken on board a new salesperson. So you tell the person that, your key result area would be to grow new business, right? Let's say that is the key result area. So what is a KPI? The KPI would be that you need to get new business equivalent to 1 crore this year, right? So that is a key performance indicator. Against that, you can measure where the person is. Has he done more? How much he has done? Whether he has done 80 lakhs, he has done more than 1 CR. What exactly is he done? So you are able to actually assess the performance and see where we are going. Is it clear? Just took that an example that which everyone understands easily. So sales department. Similarly, it can be done for the other departments as well. Right. So once you have the job descriptions, the next thing we need to look at is putting these KRAs and KPIs in place. It can be done starting at a company level. So at a company level, then we look at a department level, then we look at an employee level. Also, it's important to look at lead versus lag indicators. I'll spend 30 seconds on this. So when you look at, for example, revenue, or profits, at the end of the year. That is something what we call a lag indicator. Once it has happened, you would come to know, sales 10 crores, profit 50 lakhs, for example. But what is it that goes into these numbers is what will, if you are able to measure that, the input which goes to creating a revenue or a profit, that will be a lead indicator. So I'll share a few examples and which will make this point clear to you. So these are predictive indicators. So for example, let's say if we have 100 leads coming in, new leads into the business through marketing, and my conversion rate is 10%, right? So out of 100, if I convert 10% means 10 customers, correct? So if I am measuring how many leads are coming into the business and I'm measuring my conversion percentage, how is it going? Then these are lead indicators. So if I know 10% as on date, I would know that I'll have 10 customers for sure. So I would not want to wait for the end of the year to get to know this. So when you are looking at KRIs and KPIs, have a good balance between lead and lag indicators. Second is, again, this question comes a lot where the business owners talk about, what about roles or departments who do a lot of repetitive activity like security, right? There, what we can measure is something called key activity indicators. If you're doing an activity, if a security guard or a housekeeping or somebody on the production floor is doing an activity, measure that activity, right? And I always say, start small, take a step, rather than thinking of creating something perfect, 100% flawless, and never actually starting with that. It's of no use. Third important piece around this is how many are too many, right? So when usually we say, business owner goes back and says, this is a new thing I've learned. So now what let me do is go back, look at the last 10 years, put all 100 activities into the KRA KPIs of the employee. Please do not do that, because like I mentioned earlier, RAS, there is a limited amount of areas on which our brains can focus. So do not have more than 6 measures for each of these roles. Are we good till now? Moving into the last 2 points now. Okay, and these two are actually what I call the deal breakers, right? If you do not follow these, it becomes very, very difficult to actually put the system which is into practice, right? So the 8th point talks about defining the standard operating procedures or the how-to manuals, right? Why is it important? You see, as an organization is growing, it is getting in fresh people in the organization, right? People are moving from one role to another role, right? One location to another location, one department to another department. If we do not have this, remember 80-20 rule, systemize the routine and humanize the exception. So very important. I'll share a few examples how you can do that, and please note down, make a note of this checklist. So one, you can have checklists. Like if you see pilots, if you see surgeons, these are highly experienced super specialists, but they have these checklists in place, right? Where you can just tick it off. For example, maintenance, machine maintenance department, they can have a checklist and they can tick it off whether it is done or not, right? So anybody coming in new can be given that checklist, can be trained once or twice, it becomes automatic. You can photograph some of your best people doing a certain process in a certain manner, right? Showcase the best examples to the newcomers in this process. We can also create audio and video manuals or files wherein the people who are experts or who are your best top performers are actually creating those videos and audios as to how a process should be done. Right? Do that. Invest in doing, some of these activities so that it becomes easier and easier as you move along. Infographics, flowcharts, Excel sheets, right? Software, very, very important lever in today's term. CRMs, your softwares to create quotations, software to handle customer requests, right? So put all these things in place, ensure that it is updated regularly so that anyone who's moving in, coming in new understands that, this is the way things are done. And the last piece, coming to the last piece, which is the one where actually, most of the time the loop is broken. So tell me, how many of us actually go back and do this closure of loop, right? So we have come from step 1 to step 8, but we have not gone back and given the feedback to the system. It is going to break actually, right? Now, whenever you implement a new system, usually you see improved productivity, right? If you're implementing a new system, you see, okay, there is initial increase in productivity and you feel very happy. Sometimes it might create more work, right? Because you need to create all these checklists, you need to create the videos, you need to put in vision, mission, you need to put in a lot of this stuff, right? It might produce a lot of new problems, right? Because now you are moving into a territory where you have not been to. So it might produce those problems. It might create confusion amongst the employees who are supposed to implement the system, right? So what are we supposed to do? It is important. This loop or feedback is the most important part of this complete 9-step system that we are talking about. So it is important to keep on iterating and reiterating, keep on changing, go back and feedback, improve, and then again test. Check whether the customer is happier. Has it made any difference in the life of your customer? And if there is no positive change, either you review the system or you may also go to the extent of scrapping it, right? Because there is no point putting in a system if you do not see any positive change. And mind you, most of the systems, in fact, more than 80% system implementations fail because we fail to manage the change management. So if I ask any person, if I ask any of you, do you like change? The innate behavior is that we actually resist change. We do not like change. And if that be the case, then it is, we should not implement systems and processes just like that, which comes as a surprise to our employees. We need to take all of them on board. We need to, take their inputs, ensure that they are on board at every stage, right? So this change management piece is extremely important. So that's where we are. So putting in this system, if, my dear friends, we're able to put in the system in place and have these 9 steps, believe you me, that you will be able to move to where you want to reach, right? You'll make a start, and over a course, so if you have 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, whatever vision you have, you will certainly be able to achieve your vision, right? So somebody was asking me, Abhimanyu, is there a magic pill? So there is actually no magic pill. All the large organizations across the world, in our experience, even all the SME business owners that we work with, actually go through these steps of systemization to ensure that they move forward, right? So vision statement, mission statement, culture statement, creating smart goals, creating the organization chart that you want to have, positional contracts, which is the job descriptions that you need to have, creating the KPIs and KRAs that you need to have for the employees. How-to systems are the SOPs, and management system is the feedback and closing the loop mechanism that I was talking about, right? So if you can do this, your business can actually work without you. And there is one last point which I call an icing on a cake. So anyone just looking for the 10th point, which actually is the icing on the cake, give me a yes in the chat box and I'll share that 10th point, which I'm sure is going to make your day.
Well, wonderful.
Okay. Last piece is talking about customer centricity, right? You need to ensure that you keep the customer at the center in whatever system changes that you are trying to do in your business. There is no point doing it without customer being at the center. Seek feedback from your customers whether this has made any change in their lives, right? And continuously test and measure whether what you have done has bear fruit or not, right? Okay, quoting one of the persons who's my personal favorite. So he says that if you can learn to run one business successfully, one unit successfully, then there is no reason you can't run any number of business at the same time. The principles are still the same. But the secret lies in taking action. So I'm sure you would have taken some out of these 9, some pointers for your own businesses, and you will go back and take those actions, because as I say, you are either growing or you are dying. There is nothing which is called a standstill, right? Time to take action. I'm done with my presentation. These are my coordinates. Feel free to take a snapshot or note it down. Like I mentioned, we'll be more than happy. If there are any queries, you can reach out to us or through SowtexConnect network. I'm available to answer any questions if you may have. Thank you so much. Wonderful talking to all of you. And Gagan, if you're
Yes.
around, I will just stop screen share. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Abhimanyu, for this wonderful session. And it was really nice of you to have very beautifully, calmly explained the 9 steps. And I must say that it was very well presented. I see many of the people sending in the messages on the group. And now at this point, I would request if any one of you have any questions and answers, questions to ask Abhimanyu, this is the right time. There is a Q&A box at the bottom. And I would also request my team member Priya to please put in the link to connect with Abhimanyu. So if you are looking forward to connect with Abhimanyu, please follow this link, which Priya will be sharing. And immediately after that, we can, there you go. The link has been shared by our team member Priya. Just fill in this link, and we will be happy to connect you with Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu, while I see that there some questions may come in, but I want to ask you this question that we've just explained the 9-step model. Now, is it possible for a business owners to start from anywhere, or it is necessary for them to follow a definitive sequence?
I think, Gagan, I was expecting this from you. Great question. You always ask great questions. Okay. So let me answer it this way. Very, very simple example in our daily lives. If we were to make tea, for example, right? A very simple process, right? But we do follow a particular sequence, right? We do put it on the gas for a certain period of time, right? So we put in water, then we put in this, then we add milk. So then only we can have a kadak, a crisp and tasty tea, right? So in the same sense, the model works beautifully if we follow the sequence, right? There is no point trying to run if you have pebbles in your shoes, right? As I say, so you need to ensure that we remove the pebbles, we are in the right shape before we start moving forward. So very, very essential to start from the softer pieces, which are the most important: vision, mission, and culture, and then moving forward. That is where, in our experience, we have seen success happening.
Okay. You spoke about culture, and I know that for a business owner to do this alone is definitely not possible, right? So, a bigger task which business owners face at this point of time, or any stage rather, is to make sure that their people, their teams are accountable, right? How do you say or think that we ensure that bit?
Okay, so I think this is a challenge not only unique to textiles. Although when I talk to business owners in the textile fraternity, this challenge comes across. And if you look at the model closely, I'll say the answer lies in the model, and I did touch upon this piece when I said that if we want to attract good talent in today's scenario, who's educated, who is well experienced, who's able to add value to the organization. So this sort of a person, if you want to attract, will definitely look at an organization given a choice, which can show the vision which is bigger than himself or the business itself, right? Who is clear, the business is clear that what is the expectation from the employee, right? So nowadays the candidates have started asking for job descriptions, even before appearing for interview. Nobody wants to appear for interview if they do not have clarity, right? Whether there is a welcome when the person comes on board, whether there is clarity as to what is the expectation in terms of targets once the person comes on board, right? And we have the right set of training and tools, whether there is a review happening. So whether there is a vision in terms of where the person will have a career in the organization, or after 2 years he has to go out and look out for another job, right? So if we actually look at closely, some of these points, the business owner will find an answer to this, and I will say if we follow the system, we'll certainly be able to attract and retain the kind of talent that we are looking at.
Super. Mr. Ashok Pal S says the session is wonderful. Cultures are value of business. He really appreciates it, and he says if there's an advice for the entrepreneurs, yes, of course, this all advice is for entrepreneurs, Mr. Ashok Pal, and I would like to really thank Abhimanyu for doing that. And while you all are listening to him, I would also highly recommend, I've known Abhimanyu for many, many years now, and he comes with tons of experience in corporates, which he is now implementing in the SMEs and helping the SMEs grow in their business, like the way he spoke today. So in case you want to add value to your business and take this approach, what he mentioned, we will be happy to connect. He's already shared his details. Feel free to connect with him. And now, at this point, Vishal SK Group asks a question, Abhimanyu. For small business with only 3 to 4 members, how can we include these points to scale big?
I think beautiful question. And I often get this from, solopreneurs or from businesses which are, let's say, 3, 4 people, 10 people. And my answer to this is that if you actually look at a deeper level, perhaps these are the organizations which need this kind of a system. It is more important for them. Why? Because, these organizations do not have unlimited money and time.
True.
Right? If I have an unlimited supply of money, I'll perhaps, get the best talent in the world, right? I can throw the money and get that. Or if I have unlimited supply of time, I can perhaps try and do different activities. We have these resources in, extremely limited resources. It is important to have all this from day one if you're trying to go in the long run. If you want to build an average organization which does an average business and lives an average tenure, then it is okay to perhaps move without this. So it can be very well done. We have done it when we start working with a lot of organizations. They are just created, and we go in and just the two directors are there for a private limited company. We go in and create this from day one, right? So the first professional who walks in actually experiences all this when he's there. So once I'm assuming 3-4 people, so maybe the founders and the early employees. So when you are looking to hire more professionals, you will certainly look at that, and we'll be able to add more value. Come back and talk to us for a one-to-one discussion.
Super. And yes, it is. He is indeed welcoming you to have a one-to-one discussion with him. And I know that he knows his business. He knows, after having started and running multiple businesses, he knows his stuff about running a business. So definitely connect with him if you want to, and see if you can find a solution about your business through him. Okay. So good. Abhimanyu, thank you so much for spending your time here with us. It's been now almost 2 hours that we have been here, and thank you for sparing your time at Sotex and helping the textile community learn more, know more, and to see that how every small step in their business, the way you have actually very beautifully articulated, can take them to a different level without actually looking like too overwhelming. It did not look very overwhelming to me, but these steps, if taken and done in a very systematic manner, could make a lot of difference, right? So Priya, of course, says learned a lot herself. Tushar Singh says learned a lot and will try to implement all the points. Wonderful. Thank you so much to all the comments which are coming in on to the chat box. And one more time, I would like to thank Abhimanyu for being here today. And with this, a lot of thanks coming in on the chat box. Gautam, Vishal, Ashokpal, super. And with this, we come to the end of the session today. But before we close the session, I will close, and then of course I will leave Abhimanyu with one last comment around the session today. But before that, I would like to tell everyone that we are coming up with our buyer-seller meet next week. Sotex is organizing a domestic buyer-seller meet, which means your buyers and sellers within India, they will be coming together in a one-to-one setting, whereby you will be able to connect with them, do one-to-one meeting with them, facilitated by Sotex. This is going to happen next Thursday at 4 p.m. In our signature style, and you will be informed about it also, right? So before we close today, now at this point, I would request Abhimanyu last comments about your some last comments before we actually go ahead.
Thank you so much, Gagan. First of all, this is the second time I'm speaking with this fraternity. It is always a wonderful experience. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and thanks to all the participants to have actually spared their time and spent so much of their thoughts around learning. So, but my last thought and comment would be that it is important to take these takeaways and look at taking action, because it is only the action which will bring results.
Super.
So with that, my best wishes to all of you, and look forward to meet sometime, someday, somewhere.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you sometime very soon. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. See you next week.